The Angry Chicken is a production of Amove TV. Bookmark amove.tv for more gaming and esports shows. The Angry Chicken is directly supported by listeners like you via patreon.com/TAC.
Everyone, get in here!
Ready for action!
I've got the beast in my sight.
A podcast about Hearthstone, Heroes of Warcraft. This is the Angry Chicken.
Greetings and welcome back, everyone, to the Angry Chicken. I'm Garrett Weinzerl, back from my plagued existence. And I'm ready to talk some Hearthstone with Willie Dills Gregory and Jocelyn Carney. Let's do it!
Yay, Hearthstone time!
Yay! Yay! This is a whole lot of Hearthstone going on. We got finals. We got new esports unveiled. We've got a dev Q&A that, as usual, I'm a little grumpy about. But you know how it goes. And we're going to talk about Aggro Tempo Rogue, a deck that I would like to just say is crazy in what it can accomplish.
Yeah,
But
it's really good right now.
yeah,
And I crafted an all golden version of it.
what?
Yeah, I have an
Who's
all
the
gold version of a
1% now?
top tier meta deck. That's
All right, let's
crazy.
just for a second. So we're not talking about the deck. We're just talking about your all golden version of it. Did you just happen to have a golden Myra's
I had a
laying
lot
around?
of it already.
Okay.
I had Leroy Golden.
I remember Leroy Golden because you crafted that the first time you hit Legend off of your Zulok.
Yeah.
I distinctly
So I
remember
had that. I already had a golden Edwin Van Cleef,
Okay.
and I cracked golden Miscreants, and then I just needed to craft like.
Well, I'm thinking about the really expensive cards. What
I
about
needed to craft golden preps. Was like the only thing I didn't have.
you? Already had Myra's
All the
Unstable
other stuff is
Element.
cheap, right?
You already had a golden element, Myra's Unstable Element,
Yes, I also
What?
cracked the golden Myra's last.
and Captain Greenskin, golden
I
craft.
crafted that gold.
Okay,
That one I
all
crafted
right.
golden. I had that non-gold.
Okay, all right, okay. Well, still, that dude, that's a serious list of just golden legendaries I already happen to have on hand.
It just yeah, I know. It just took me. I literally like one legendary I had to craft, and then the preps were painful because they're both epics.
Yeah.
But I was like, they're preps. One day they'll go to the Hall of Fame, and I'll get this dust back, right?
I love that.
That's very true. I was just gonna say, they're probably gonna rotate them out, but then I'm like, but then you get the dust.
Yeah.
Yes.
My
good.
brain went to they're always going to be good. So at least you'll get use out of your shiny cards. I love that you go straight to they're going to the Hall of Fame one day, and I'll just get my dust back.
Inevitable.
They've been around forever, and they've always been good. So.
Yeah, they have. That is very freaking true. But there's quite a bit to talk about, and Dills, you have a hard out for once. So let's
do.
dive right into this week's Hearthstone news.
Good news, everyone!
We made it. We're here. We stand at the precipice of the final HCT finals, kicking off this Thursday.
Yeah.
And I have one question for you two. Who'd you pick?
I picked Viper.
Ah.
Yeah,
Nice.
I went for a sleeper pick here, but I just like his lineup. When I
Honestly,
looked at the
I don't
deck-
think that there's any such thing as a sleeper pick like this.
Sure.
I really like the way that they did World Championship, where like it wasn't just a set number of spots per region. It was like from all the seasonal championships.
Mhm.
I mean, it's stacked this year, completely stacked.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I looked at all the lists, and by the way, I have a link to a thing where you can just kind of like scroll through all the lists. Here, I'll pop it into stuff for you guys. But it's kind of a nice lineup he brought, because there's a lot of people who brought the Control Warrior,
Yeah.
and he is one of the few people who brought the Summoner Mage, which is really, really good against the Control Warrior. So
Yeah.
I think he gets to ban the Rogue, which most people won't be able to do because they're going to have to ban. They're gonna have to ban either Rogue or Warrior. He can ban the Rogue and beat the Warrior.
And beat the Warrior, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a few of them that brought that. There's Bunny Hopper brought it too, I was kind of going back and forth between Bunny Hopper and Language Hacker, because Language Hacker also has that conjurer type mage thing.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Yeah. So I agree. I think that that's going to be a really good pick. But yeah, I was going back and forth between the two of them. And really, I mean, basically, you were probably fine in terms of how many packs you were going to get if you picked anyone from Group A, B, or D. Group C just looks like, poof, like, I don't know who's going to get out of that group because holy hell, the talent in there, like, it's literally going to just, it's going to be a shit show. Try to figure out who's actually going to win that group because they're all amazing. I would not want to be in that group.
And I went with my fandom over a smart choice and just went with Hunter Ace. I don't care if he's in Group C.
Yeah.
Hunter Ace was very high on my expectations, and then I looked at his lists and I was like, what is he on crack all of a sudden? Because he has some very strange stuff going on here. I don't know if you looked at, he has the mage deck too.
He does.
But he's got a Hench Clan sneak in his deck. The 3-mana 3/3 with stealth. What? Why is that there?
I believe in the Hunter Ace, man. I just believe that he knows something I don't know.
I think he's very clearly targeting Token Druid and stuff because he's also got Mossy Horror in there. So I don't know. Sure, maybe there's some weird reason for it. It is a stealth minion that you can then conjure as calling, but you're just making 2/3 drops. So I don't really know. But yeah, I don't know. I played some of his decks. I played a lot of their decks. I went in and on ladder, just played around with some of these lists, and Hunter Ace's decks were underwhelming to me. So I was like,
it's really hard too, right, to take these decks onto ladder because I think RDU was doing the same thing last week, playing the decks on ladder. And
no, I mean, it's not a 1-for-1 comparison for sure, but it's still, you get a feel for them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I do think Bunny Hopper has really good lineup as well. So I definitely considered him. He's also rocking the mage. But we shall see. I mean, Ike is my favorite in my heart. I want him to win. But he's got a really tough group.
He has such a tough group, yeah.
Yeah, and we shall see. But I also think Just Saying has been prepping like a ton. He's been conceding to every streamer on the ladder until the lists were revealed. Now the lists have been revealed, so he's not anymore. But I've seen him anytime I'm watching a stream, they're queuing into Just Saying. Like, I don't think he's stopped playing Hearthstone for the last 3 weeks. All he's doing is playing Hearthstone every waking moment of every day. It's crazy.
He's just sitting there with some kind of intravenous feed to keep him, healthy.
It's nuts how much that guy freaking grinds. So he'd be another good pick, I think.
Yeah, like I said, there isn't a bad pick, really. I mean, Zhao Ti is awesome, and Tyler, we haven't Tyler, Bloody Face, Viper. I guess you mentioned Viper, but even Muzzy. We haven't through this conversation, we haven't even dropped Muzzy yet. Muzzy is another amazing player. So I really feel like there's no bad pick this year for sure, except for possibly someone in Group C because that one's just so unpredictable, I think.
Yeah.
Well, it's a fitting end after we spent all of 2018 going, there's a lot of games. Anyone else tired of watching all these games? It certainly looks like it worked. We got down to 16 of the 16 best players in the world where you're looking at these groups and you just don't know who to call it for.
Yeah.
So
it's going to be a good weekend of Hearthstone.
I'm very curious to see if Elysiana is as annoying as everybody thinks it's going to be. I have a feeling, I think most of these people made their lineups with the idea to potentially just try to not worry about the warrior and the rogue and just try to beat something else, right? They'll ban one of those, they'll expect to lose to the other one, and then they'll try to not let the token druid through or something like that. I feel like though the real strategy is probably be able to beat one of those decks because giving free wins away, I don't like that as a strategy when you're trying to just win 3 games, right? Just being okay, well, I know that I won't sweep anybody. It's I feel like I like some of the lineups for it. That's why I kind of picked those guys where I'm you got the mage, you're going to beat the warrior, you're not letting it through. It's going to be, this is the last chance that we get to kind of think about these conquest scenarios playing out. So
that's the thing, right? I don't think that Elysiana is going to be that problematic this weekend, but I'm worried about it just in specialist format because it makes the games go on forever.
I'd heard people talk about banning it just in like the main deck, but allowing it in secondary and tertiary decks. That way it's not in the first game ever, right? And then you can put it into, because it is an important tech card for, say, a bomb warrior, right? And if you just refuse to let people be able to tech against the bomb warrior, is that really like healthy? You know, like just make it so that bombs is just super powerful now because there's no actual tech.
There's no counter, yeah.
So that would be, I think, interesting, because then at least okay, well, they can switch to it, but we don't have 3 Elysiana games in a row, right? Which I think is the thing everybody's concerned about.
Well, that's the thing that's happening right now in qualifiers, is that these qualifier tournaments are going on for 15, 16 hours when this is supposed to be like the sped up format. But
they're all playing Control Warrior.
Exactly.
It's like a bunch of Control Warrior mirrors because they're trying to beat the Rogue.
Yeah.
So they have to play the Control Warrior, which we're going to talk about when we get to the Rogue. But then they're all just playing Control Warrior mirrors, and they take forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we haven't seen a balance update yet. I would assume that we're going to see one at some point. We have a Q&A to talk about in a bit too, but I wanted to kind of get all the esports stuff out of the way, and we still haven't discussed grandmasters. And Elysiana got brought up, so to jump ahead to it, they said that the concerns are noted and she's being monitored, which we're used to hearing that from the team. But I'm not as annoyed by it as I used to be, because they have made faster changes in with recent sets. So I'm like, cool. It's on the
we
radar.
know we're not going to have to wait for a tech card to come out in the next week.
I honestly think once this HCT finals has happened, we'll probably see some small tweaks right afterwards, because it's kind of what they did last time. And I would not put that, like, I just feel like that's the timing. It's just don't do it before HCT, right?
Right.
Like, we've given these guys these new, like, they're all building off of Rise of Shadows.
Yeah, the new
if we were
rotation, the new expansion.
Right before.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm not super concerned until HCT happens.
Yeah.
Then my clock will start ticking. Right?
Yeah.
So, anyways, starts Thursday. Gonna be a lot of good Hearthstone games to watch.
9 p.m. until 9 a.m. every night because it's in Taiwan.
Yeah, because it's in Taiwan. Yep.
So wake up and watch the VODs, or like what I'll probably do is I'll like put it on as I'm going to bed, and then I'll like watch whatever I missed in the morning or whatever. I won't care that much until it's really down to the top 8 and stuff. But.
Yeah, it's kind of, I mean, like, you want to see your favorite player play, but then once they're out, then
it's just so much Hearthstone. I kind of tune in and out and semi pay attention, and then I will not be staying up all night to watch it.
Anyone who's listened to me talk about any esport at all knows I've been on a StarCraft 2 kick again like crazy, and all I want to watch is Korean StarCraft 2, and I just I can't watch that live. So I've been trained to just consume my esports via VODs anyway. So this is fine. I'll just get up, and it's cool too, because I can like ask for recommendations, like, hey guys, what should I absolutely watch? And then I'll just go hunt it out.
The other thing about being able to watch the VODs is like there's so much skippable stuff in Hearthstone, I find.
Yeah, there's a lot of downtime in between matches and stuff.
There is, yeah. And all those little videos that they play, like the questions with the devs and the casters and stuff. I mean, they're fine. I don't love them, but they're fine when you see them the first time. But then they play them 20 times over the course of a day, and you're just like, no more, please, no more.
I'm done. I can't take it. It's as bad as commercials. A lot of that stuff is like
you can skip those in the VOD.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing that like when you're there watching it in person, hanging out with friends, it's not as apparent. But when you're at home on the couch, you're just like, let's move on.
Yeah.
But it's a live event. You got to fill time somehow, so it kind of goes with the territory.
Yep.
Before we move out of esports, a lot of grandmasters announcements have come out, including all of the America's grandmasters, save for the 16th spot, which is going to go to whichever America's player has the best placement in the final HCT finals.
Which is the same in Europe and APAC as well. They all have, each region has a spot reserved for the highest finishing player in HCT World Championship. Yeah,
so we now know how players were selected, sort of.
They all have like this is a top prize money earner, this is a top points earner type thing going along. Like, so they're all like, they tell us why they're qualified, but not exactly how that was done, right? We don't know the internal like numbers or algorithms or whatever it is they use, which I think it was probably just like, when they have like a bunch of puppies and then they put like who's going to win the World Cup? And then they put like 2 things of food out. I think that's kind of what they did here because some of this is
a name on each bowl.
Some of this
and
is
they just
sensical.
let the puppies go.
Yeah, some of this is completely nonsensical. Like I mean, I do think they picked the people that they wanted to be in, and then also the people that, we're doing well this year. But then there's guys like Strife Crow, who hasn't really even been playing Hearthstone for the last, year and a half or whatever, right? So
yeah, and I think
sure he's a top prize money earner overall, but
yeah, that's my, I think, biggest problem with all of that. Well, I kind of have 2 problems with the way Hearthstone Grandmasters has been handled. First of all, it's just kind of the marketing around it, because they said that this was going to be the pinnacle of Hearthstone esports. This is the be all end all of underlying competitive Hearthstone, which is all fine and dandy, except then they have these 2 spots per region that are reserved for legends. And we have absolutely no idea what that means. There's no transparency around the selection there at all. And it just seems kind of like these are PR spots. So is this your pinnacle of Hearthstone competition, or is this the pinnacle of Hearthstone marketing? Because those are 2 totally different leagues, and maybe should be 2 totally different leagues. So there's a lot of conversations being had around Hearthstone Grandmasters and the selection of the legend spots in particular, and people saying, well, no, like this person should have been in, or this person should have, or this person shouldn't be, and this is the reasons why. And everyone's coming from a place of either, well, these are like PR spots open for essentially like community contributors, or, well, no, this is competitive Hearthstone, so you have to look at their track record. And Hearthstone, like Blizzard, has done this to themselves, and there's so many people in the community getting beat up over this right now because Blizzard has been not transparent at all with any of the selections. But I think the legend spots are the most problematic.
Well, how can you be transparent about the legend spots? Because it really, at the end of the
They
day,
shouldn't exist.
It
shouldn't exist.
It's a popularity contest.
Yeah. I'll do devil's advocate the legend spots. This is the first year that they're doing this, and there are some people who they just want to be there, and I totally understand that there's backlash about that, and I don't think that it's like wrong to have backlash, but I also think that it's okay for the first initial year to do stuff like I do think that they could have done a better job of being transparent about it. Yes, and I also think maybe it would have been a good idea to just put at least one woman in each region, rather than like just randomly put 1 in 1 and like that kind of thing. So I also think, yes, they could have done a better job picking these. But if these players don't belong, by next season they won't be there, right? Because there is the relegation, right? So I think it's okay to do this for the first year, as long as they stick to their guns when it comes to how people move in and out of these things going forward, right? Because you do have to start somewhere.
Yeah, but we also, we had the debate on if there is enough relegation, which,
well, sure, that's a separate debate, but I mean, like, the relegation exists, and so they need to, like,
yeah, but I think I see it as
don't belong, they will be the ones relegated.
Yeah,
right?
I just see it as an additional piece of causing the friction, or that is like the discussion around this. Like, we were already looking at this with an eyebrow raised when they said more info to come, that it will include the best players and your favorite personalities, and I'm like, all right, invites, they're gonna do invites. This actually isn't strictly a competitive tier, which, at a certain point, I don't know, like, I feel like conversation just boils down to it's their prerogative to do whatever the hell they want with their competition. And whether you like it or not is up to you personally, and it actually hasn't unfolded, so this might end up being one of the better Hearthstone tournaments we've seen. Me personally, the fact that you're selling it as the pinnacle of competition, I'm like, well, it's a little disingenuous. and you kind of
Yeah, so
invite
that's
this.
my point, is that they build this as the pinnacle of Hearthstone competition, that the grandmasters were the be all end all. That's what everyone needs to strive for. You have to work your way up through their 3-tiered competitive system to get to the top. And so if this is supposed to be the top of their competition, then I don't think that community personalities have any space in there. I mean, especially when you've got, your top points, your top prize money, like those are both objectively measurements of how you have fared in competitive Hearthstone. So it just seems to me like these legend spots are basically a publicity stunt. And even that, so if you look at it that way, as they're just like, there's going to be some legend spots, there's going to be some community contributors, then I think that's a like kind of part 2 of the conversation. Dills, you brought up the women in Hearthstone thing and how Pathra is the only woman who's been invited to grandmasters. And so if you look at those 2 spots objectively as just places for the Hearthstone community, then even if you don't look at it as like a 1 out of 48 spots went to a woman, but instead 1 out of 6 legend spots went to a woman, it's a huge missed opportunity, I think, to highlight some of the community contributors like Cora, like Gia, like they should absolutely be in grandmasters if there are community contribution spots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think they probably should have done 2 spots per region, 1 to a female, 1 to a male, and if they're going to do it this way, then that's okay. And I think you're right. Like, don't sell it as the pinnacle of Hearthstone esports. Which I personally, as soon as they said there was community invites, I said, oh well, then it's not. So.
Well, but there's a lot of people.
I didn't feel sold that way. Like I didn't.
But there's a lot of people that did. There's a lot of people in the community that are saying these legend spots, like, Cora doesn't deserve to be there because she's never
she's
played.
Not there, so I don't even know what the hell they're talking about.
Yeah.
Well, word got out that she was.
There were a lot of people who were considered for Hearthstone Grandmasters, and then so are getting automatic invites to Masters in Vegas because they were told not to compete in any of the Open Cups. So she was one of the people who was considered for Grandmasters and then didn't get the spot. And a lot of people are saying this is the pinnacle of esports, so she shouldn't be there because she's never played in like an HCT seasonal championship. But what nobody's talking about is the fact that none of the casters' points are allowed to count towards HCT championships. They haven't ever been in the past because technically they work for Blizzard. Cora has plenty of high legend finishes, but she's not allowed to compete in HCT or hasn't been in the past. So I don't know. It's just all of it.
I mean, I don't think, ridiculous. Raven and Sottle shouldn't be there, and TJ shouldn't be there, and Cora shouldn't be there. Cora shouldn't be there. She's a caster. She should be casting. I don't understand. Okay, maybe she's trying to transition into a player because I know, she did play in the
in the WSOE.
If that's the case, she could, in my mind, she'd be allowed to forfeit her casting spot to be like, I want to try to be a player now. I don't think she did that. I don't understand why there's people who are freaking out. People just like to beat up on Cora, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, they really do.
Yeah, that's
which is silly.
More and more true. Sadly, every time you run a search for Cora on the subreddit, it's ridiculous.
You're gonna beat up on anybody though, Jocelyn. You're right. You beat up on Blizzard and their esports team because you if you disagree with this, you disagree with this. I think my personal opinion is that it's fine for the first one. It's fine for the first one where you have to start somewhere and you're initially starting with this, and this is what they decided to start with. But it's like if you now put these rules into place and you allow people to attempt to qualify, then please don't ever then go back and be like, you know what, we actually do want to put Patra back in, even though she should have been relegated, or we do want to put Zalay back in, even though, because we just want him to be there. If that starts to happen, then I will quit Hearthstone Esports and be like, this is stupid. And maybe a community, because if people want the pinnacle of competition, then maybe what ends up happening is a community type thing starts that's not Blizzard related at all, where they're like, no, we're going on hard data to find the top players, right? And maybe that then can gain traction because people will look at this as a joke. So I hope that this doesn't end up being a joke. But
honestly, I mean,
Blizzard should be more hands off about all this stuff because maybe they're not the best at this, right?
God.
Yeah.
It's such a loaded
Maybe
topic.
they're better at making the game, not making
Yeah,
the esport.
not making the esport. And I think that's almost also like one of the big pieces here is this feels super like heavy-handed, and like Blizzard is just right in it without being transparent, without telling us what's going on, without telling the players what's going on. And it feels a whole lot like, because the I guess qualifications for grandmasters, like what players should have been striving for over the past year, or apparently 3 or 4 years, like none of that was made available to the players ahead of time. So it allows Blizzard to kind of tailor their qualifications to who they want to see in the league, or that's what it feels like anyways. And it's like, if they had said there's going to be a Grandmaster League, which obviously they didn't know, let's be honest, they threw this together in a few months. So it makes it really hard to be transparent and put all of the qualifications and stuff out there ahead of time. But it might have been better for players, like, because there's a lot of players who seem like they were right on the cusp of making it into this league and didn't make it and feel like they've wasted their time. And Sidonia is one of them. And he like said, like, I am the number 8 all-time earner in North America, finished top 16 in HCT points. Like, he's a very competitive player who just didn't quite make it. Maybe what he should have been doing for the past year, instead of going to every HCT tour stop, is he should have been focusing on streaming and making himself a community personality. Like, but none of this was available ahead of time. And I know that they have to start somewhere, but all of this feels like Blizzard is way too hands-on in the weeds and kind of like putting their favorite players forward. And it just kind of, it's put a bit of a sour taste in my mouth.
That's fair. I think you can now vote as a viewer and be like, I don't want to watch it.
Yeah.
I think that's totally fair, but it's also Blizzard's complete right to do this if this is what they're doing. This is their invention. They're creating it. So it's I'm okay with it. To me it's just like a thing that I don't need to be mad at in life is that Sidonia didn't make it into this thing. But I do understand, like, yeah, that sucks for him, but there was going to be a lot of players who were going to be close and didn't make it, right? There's only 16 spots in each region. So
well, maybe
not that many players.
I was going to say, maybe it should have been a bigger league. Maybe there should have been more spots. There's so many different maybes in this, but I think Dills, I'm kind of on the same page as you with, like, I just hope if this is the system that they've settled on, because I feel like we have changed Hearthstone esports every freaking year. Like, if this is what they've settled on, just do it and leave it alone and let the system sort itself out. Like, don't get back in there and, like, cancel relegations or, add more spots because, like Muzzy gets kicked out or, like, just don't touch it. Just make
once it's in place,
make your rules and just keep it. Don't cancel it like you did with Hearthstone Masters. Like, just freaking do it. God damn it.
For 1 year. Yeah, I know. That's
like,
crazy.
can we just have 2 years in a row of Hearthstone esports that's the same?
I want it to be like, feel like we're moving forward each year, right? And like, people in chat are saying, Magic has had some similar issues like this too in the past because they want to have faces that people know at their tournaments, right? Because when you're watching Magic and you don't know what the hell's going on with the cards, like, Hearthstone has the advantage of being easier to just watch if you don't know what the hell is going on, right? Magic doesn't have that advantage at all. So they definitely need to have some personalities, right? And I think, maybe Blizzard is trying to be a little bit too much focusing on what has happened in the past and not forging off and starting a new path of their own. But it's like, if we start to just pare down to it, now it's just definitely the best players. And we know who the best players are because year after year, they continue to perform in this thing. Then it'll be great. In like 2-3 years, it'll be fantastic. But yeah, there's growing pains around this. It's just, I looked at it and I said, okay, I get what they're doing. And then I just was like, fine, do it. I'll watch or I won't. Like, I'll keep my eyes on it. But I didn't immediately like feel rage inside, like apparently a lot of people did.
I originally, honestly, I just like sighed. I'm like, yep, self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, this is what I assumed it was going to be, and it was going to be weird and not and murky. And this is more or less where we have found ourselves. But yeah, I mean, I'm in the same boat as where you two are ending up, which is, well, let's just, I guess, see where we go from here, because this is what's happening. The only thing I'm like truly mad about is the rampant sexism that is being levied at people like Cora, who I'm using as an example because well, I follow her on Twitter, and I've seen a lot of comments from her in recent days about all of the crap that she's been getting as a result of this, which I just think is unacceptable, and we should be better than this as a community and as gamers.
Yeah. You know, I heard people saying, well, she took like a man spot or whatever. Like, all that stuff is stupid. These are legend spots. They're not man or woman spots. They're just legend spots. But the fact of the matter is, without the legend spots, if it was pure competition, there would be 0 women in here. So I don't know. Like, it's whatever. Like,
well,
the
and
whole
that's
man
like
or
that's
woman
a
thing
whole
there,
that's a
right?
whole other conversation that I really don't think that we need to get into
No,
right now
no.
because you have a hard out time.
Sure.
But the entire women competing in esports thing is a whole beast in and of itself.
Oh,
And
for sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
you guys can totally hit me up in the Discord if you want to have this conversation because I have many thoughts on it. But yeah.
Yeah, but I think my preference would
now
have
is
been,
not the time.
yeah, 1 woman, 1 guy for each of the legend spots, and then you just kind of understand what's going on. That would have been sweet, but it's not what happened.
Yep. Weird stuff. I guess we'll see how Grandmasters plays out, and I guess also see if we stick with something for more than a year. Time will tell. And it's very weird on like the eve of the HCT finals, which it looks like it's just going to kick ass. Now I'm suddenly like, am I wanting HCT to stick around after like a Grandmasters?
Right?
It's just very weird.
God. If this starts and it sucks, and then we're just gonna be like, and HCT was so awesome, we're gonna be real sad. But we'll see.
Yeah, and also, hey, that esports team, guys, there's not much of it left, and they're hiring for it, and there's a whole kit and caboodle of drama around that right now. It's weird. Things are weird in Hearthstone esports, but I'm gonna watch some games this weekend, I guess. We'll see where we go from there. Let's talk about the game itself, because there was a Rise of Shadows developer Q&A conducted on the official forums just yesterday. We're going to skip through quite a bit, but some of the bigger highlights is the first thing right off the bat, because I haven't been grumbly enough, is they have discussed nerfing Barnes and Bloodbloom, but they are waiting to collect more data. And I just go, what?
Well, Barnes has been around forever. I think its data should be fairly solid there. I think the problem is we're collecting more data. The data isn't really the issue on the win rate of Barnes. It's on the win rate of Barnes on 4 or Barnes on 3. I don't know if they're looking at the right data, right? Because Barnes being in your deck may not make your deck have like a super high win rate, but Barnes on 3 makes it so we didn't play a game of Hearthstone, right? And so yeah, it's stupid. I think the Bloodbloom thing is fine. I know people are freaking out about this Bloodbloom deck. I played some of it in Wild, and I think it loses to a lot of stuff. I really don't think it's that crazy. Sometimes it goes off, yes, but when it goes off, isn't that kind of what Wild is all about, right? Like when I look at it and like something crazy happens or whatever, I'm like, that was sweet. And it doesn't feel to me like the Naga Sea Witch thing where it's like it's happening every freaking game and it's insane. Maybe if they wanted to nerf something, they could nerf that new card or something, make it cost more health. I don't know. I think it's fine. But yeah, Barnes, yes, let's change it.
It's at that point. Like they've changed things in the past because it feels bad, even if the stats are like, no, it's fine. It's in an acceptable margin of error for win rate. It's not, degenerate. But we've seen cards like Barnes changed in the past for the exact reason that feels bad. So why are we still having this conversation with Barnes?
Yeah, it's just time to do something, right? Like, can we just stop talking about it because it's not there anymore? Yeah, just nerf it to 6 mana, and no one will care.
Yeah,
right?
like even though I agree with it, I'm with everyone who's like, Barnes comes down and I hate this game, and I'm like, yeah, I'm with you, I do too. But really, at the top of it, I'm just sick of talking about Barnes. Can we just nerf him and move on with our lives?
Yeah, exactly.
Hall of Fame cards are brought up. They said replacements for Hall of Fame cards are done internally, and they should come out before the next expansion. So some more replacement cards on the way.
1 mana, give me a random thing, or what's Druid gonna get, right? Because they just lost a card.
Well, Druid ramp was brought up and said that we will see more ramp in the future, but it wasn't brought up like connected to this, so I don't think they're talking about replacement for Hall of Fame cards.
Okay.
So maybe something that gives you a treant.
Yeah, that's what I'd guess too, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
1 mana 2/2.
Yeah, it could be. It could be. I mean, it couldn't be.
That actually wouldn't be a bad card because right now the token druids are literally only playing the single 1-drop, the little acorn guy, acorn man.
Yeah. Yeah.
By the way, that's my new thing now is whenever I don't remember the name of a card, it's just whatever the thing does plus guy or man or dude. So you got Banana Man, Acorn Man.
Acorn Man?
Yeah.
Good.
It's just too many cards now to remember all their freaking names.
No, totally. I mean, I was always bad at it anyway. Like,
Yeah.
I think it was after Naxxramas. I'm done. I will describe a card by
Right
mana
early
cost
on.
and stats. Mana cost and stats is how the 2/2 that throws a knife. I know it's knife
Squirrel
juggling, but
Girl. That's a good one.
yeah. Squirrel Girl. I like that.
Squirrel Girl.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, extra points if you can rhyme it.
Yeah. The new game modes is a topic they're still interested in, according to them. Good to know.
Okay. I
Oh
mean,
come on, Garrett! You put in the notes you were gonna blow a raspberry, literally.
Okay, sorry. Hey, what about new game modes? There's still a topic we're interested in.
There you go.
I can't be mature about
I
this.
wasn't expecting them to say we're definitely putting one in and it's coming out next month. So
They've
I'm
already
glad
said
that they
they have
didn't
no
say like
plans.
it's not a focus of ours right
Yeah.
now. I'm glad that they said we're interested in it because they need to be because they need to do
I
something.
freaking hope they are.
Yeah.
Well, they already said there's no new game modes for 2019, right? So
Hey guys, I'm interested in stopping at red light so I don't die. I'm interested in drinking water, enough of it in a day to keep myself healthy.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my lord. Some of these.
But see, those are things that I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. Like we've learned nothing here. Like,
Right.
Well,
But
and
like- but-
this is kind of all the Q&As kind of go like this, right?
This-
As people ask all these questions, it's like maybe
Yeah,
this
it's
one
the
is one
Q.
they just shouldn't have answered. Like
The
there's
problem here is
plenty
the
to go
Q.
unanswered.
they already gave us the A that there's no new game modes in 2019, and then yet
Yeah.
we're still just like, hey man, game modes. Hey man, game modes, and it's kind of like, you know, like when a little kid won't shut up and keep asking you stupid questions, and you're just like,
Are we there yet? Are we there
but
yet? Are we
why?
there yet?
But why? And why? It's just like, dude,
Yeah.
I already friggin' told you, it's not happening right now.
Except in this case, the kid should be like, why weren't we there 2 years ago? That's the question the child should be asking. But,
You know,
yeah. Legendary spells and weapons, they're not off the table entirely. They're, still in the minds of the folks making this game. So they're not written off entirely. So we may see legendary spells or weapons in the future. It's not like they're never going to make another one.
yeah, I mean, it's an interesting card archetype. It would be weird if they just never ever did them again, right? So
Right. Right.
makes sense.
They said that a big goal for the game this year is to redefine the strengths and weaknesses of each class. Which is
I like that. That feels like they're focusing back on kind of class identity a little bit more. Say like, okay, these guys are good at this, but bad at this all the
Yeah.
way across the board. Instead of like, because for a little while there, it felt like we were getting a little bit homogenized. I mean, Druid is the most obvious example where, they were good at wide board removal and single target removal and also making tokens, but also having big things and, ramping mana and healing and armoring. And yeah, so I think that we're getting away from that now, which is good. And I'd like to see them focus again on making it feel like when I play rogue, I'm playing a rogue. And when I'm playing a warrior, I'm playing a warrior.
Yep.
I'd say it feels pretty good right now. I kind of know
Yeah.
each
Yeah.
class, I'm like, this is what my class can do, right? Like it was kind
The
of weird.
rotation
that
helped
Warrior was
a
the
lot,
best
I
aggro
think.
class, right? That was just
Yeah.
bizarre.
Well, and that Druid could get the most armor,
Yeah.
but the rotation helped, I think, quite a lot.
That was a big trigger for me. I was just like, bring me Jade's back. I'm so done with armor.
He's over 50 armor on a Druid.
At least I can like pyroblast you past the Jade. This is dumb and I hate it. There's currently no plans, and I've been seeing headlines all over the place. This is making waves. There's no plans to extend the legendary protection rule to epic cards. This to me is like the new game modes. I'm like, yeah, I wasn't expecting this, but
yeah, but this is something that
traction.
the community has been asking for quite a long time to help, because the cost of Hearthstone has been going up so much. And so if I could open all my card packs and never get duplicates of legendaries and epics until I had all of them, that would help a whole lot with the amount of cost of Hearthstone.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, they don't seem to be looking at the economy of the game at all. So I wasn't surprised by this answer.
Right. And I mean, this is always the kind of thing that I don't know about the relationship between whoever actually calls the shots on the cost of the game and the people that develop the game, but there's definitely some sort of relationship there. And this is the kind of thing where I look at it, I'm like, yeah, I'm sure if it was just up to the developers, they would probably make this change.
Sure. And I also don't think, though, that I think people overestimate how much this would help. Like, if you opened only 50 packs, you're not going to have opened like 7 duplicate epics. That'll be a super edge case, right?
Yeah.
It's the people who open 200 packs who this will really help. So I don't know. It's like, I understand people are just like, I need all the edges and all the things and give me more stuff, Blizzard. It's like, this is really not gonna do that much. I think that, I don't know. I think people are making more out of this than really they should.
Well,
Because
it's just the cost of crafting, right? And the fact that epic cards are actually useful, whereas they used to be, fun or different, or, but now they're actually really good cards. So, I mean, you talked about it off the top of the show with making your golden epics and how much that hurt your dust balance.
But that golden epic I talked about was a prep. That was a classic card. They have always been somewhat useful. But you're right. There were also ones that were like super weird and edge.
But with all the classic packs that you've ever opened, what if you just had opened that card instead of not having to craft it?
Well, I did. I just crafted it golden.
Yeah, I get. Yeah.
Significantly rarer.
I'm sure I've opened preparation many times.
I may have opened a golden one and probably dusted it at some point to make another card. But yeah,
crazy.
I mean, a lot of people I feel have their knives out for Hearthstone right now. I mean, we ourselves have not been like shy about some of our stronger opinions about where the game is lacking. But I think this might be a bit of an overreaction on this particular bullet point.
I just think, we need to be like realistic with the things that we give Blizzard crap about and not just give them crap about every single thing. It's like, it gets overwhelming, right? Where we're like, hey, man, and this too. And you're like, they have given us a lot more. I mean, they literally just gave us a whole bunch of packs of all the standard stuff just for like logging in each day, right? And I was actually on my free to play account the other day, and I was like, the biggest thing that they gave me is the build a deck function with the cards that I have that allows me to just say, I need to get this priest quest done, and I have this limited collection, and I just say build a deck, and it builds me the highest win rate deck with the cards I have, and then I can actually win. And it's like, this is so much easier than it used to be when I had to like pour over my limited collection and figure out how to possibly build a deck with this. It's like players have overlooked a lot of things, I think, and they're still focused on duplicate epics.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever. It's I understand people can be a little overzealous sometimes about things.
A little tunnel vision.
Yeah.
So on class number of wins, they said they're that adding a new cosmetic reward for medium to long term goals is something that they want to improve on. This is kind of in line with things we've seen in the past.
Yeah, I think Ixar even used the term medium and long-term goals in his last Q&A. Mm-hmm. So again, This isn't really new, I don't think.
Yeah, it's just when I see things like mentioned multiple times in that way, I'm like, oh, I think it might actually be coming maybe sooner rather than later. Versus, I don't know. I don't actually have a good example. I'm trying to think of a time where they mentioned something over and over again and we didn't actually end up getting it. Like a ladder revamp.
Well, it's better than saying that cosmetic rewards are something they're interested in.
Fair, Jocelyn. Anyways, before we move into strategy and talk about this new aggressive version of a tempo rogue, let's thank our sponsor today, Away Luggage, for sponsoring this episode of The Angry Chicken. You can check out their offerings of just amazing luggage over to waytravel.com/TAC. By the way, if you use the code TAC, you'll get $20 off your order. If you're unfamiliar with Away, again, it's just very nice luggage. And also, if you are like us and like to play games while you were traveling, both sizes of their carry-on, the carry-on and the aptly named bigger carry-on, have internal batteries for charging. You can get roughly 5 iPhone charges out of these internal batteries. And also, by the way, when they said they were internal, I'm like, oh, they must be stuck in the suitcase. They don't. They pop out very easily. It's super convenient to charge these things the night before you go. You don't have to like roll your bag over to the closest like outlet to charge it.
I totally thought that's what I had to do, and my suitcase was sitting in my living room, and then I was like,
You
oh
can
wait,
take
there's
it
a
out,
little
put it in your
button.
back pocket.
Oh.
Yep.
Yeah.
Also, you are required to take them out if you check them, right? Is that what it is? I
think
remember
so,
they
yeah,
told me I
'cause
had to
you
take the
can-
battery out, so it's really easy to just pop it out. So
I wonder if they didn't notice it was in there because they've never asked me to do that.
really,
Well, if you carry it on, it's fine because it's in the pressurized cabin.
Oh yeah, the
I think
lithium
you
ion.
can check it. They force you to take the battery out.
Oh, gotcha.
Which
Well,
I never check it because it's the perfect size to carry on. It's the only bag I ever bring now. I never check anything anymore.
Yeah. Actually, you bring up a good point. I've never had to check my away luggage.
Yep.
Because, I have the smallest size carry-on, which I love. It's perfect for like a 4-day con trip. Oh, it's the best. It's so good.
Hey, with that
I've gone on like 10 days.
technology, I'm going on a week. Like I'm going down to Dallas at the end of May, and this is the only bag I'm bringing.
Yeah.
It
Well, the
holds
smooshing
so
technology.
much. It's
right?
the smooshing technology.
Hey,
I
listen,
don't even know how, but it can hold a week of my crap, and I have a lot.
Depends on where I'm going.
Travel light.
Yeah, it depends on if I'm going to Key West, where the freaking like the dress code is please have pants on. Yeah, I can pack for a month. So check them out. They've got free shipping to the lower 48 states, a 100-day return policy, and a lifetime warranty on top of all this for TAC listeners. I already mentioned it, but I'll mention it again. For $20 off a suitcase, visit awaytravel.com/TAC and use the promo code TAC during checkout. We thank them for their support. We thank you for upgrading your luggage over to awaytravel.com/TAC. Now, it's time to talk a little strategy, specifically Aggro Rogue, aka Tempo Rogue. I've been calling it Aggro Tempo Rogue. Here you go.
Hit it very hard.
Wanna blow something up? Time to pay!
So, Dills, in your words, this is the deck that is kind of dictating the meta.
I think we should call it Ag Rogue.
Aggro?
Aggro. Okay, sure. This deck
Temgro. Temgro Rogue. How do we put aggro and tempo together? Can someone...
I mean, it does generate a lot of tempo, though, and the tempo then turns into face damage very quickly, and then it also has a way to burst you down.
Yeah, depending on what fan site you're looking at, this may be called Aggro Rogue, this may be called Tempo Rogue.
I don't know. It's got these plays that... It also charges at your face quite a bit. But I think it still counts as tempo, because what it does is effectively it tries to do the most stuff with the least amount of mana on earlier power turns than you do, right? So there's, think about like Token Druid and stuff like that. Like right now what Token Druid does is actually kind of sits back for a while and then suddenly generates a crap ton of stuff and makes it sticky. What this does is like turns 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are all just like, I'm coming at you. And if you're the other deck, you're just like, I need to stop having to react to your stuff so I can do my thing. But nobody can do that because this just keeps coming at you and then kills you.
But then even if they do their thing, you still have all of this control and tempo that you can unleash.
You can,
still
that's the thing. It's like a card like Sap. This is why I would say tempo is the correct term for it. A card like Sap is just an ultimate tempo card, right? It's like whatever you did for 7 mana, I undid for 2, and then I did 5 more mana worth of stuff, right? And
sometimes that 5 more mana worth of stuff is making the world's biggest Van Cleef.
Sure. Or sometimes it's just playing a Waggle pick and 2 Dread Corsairs. Oh my god, like that, which happens so often with this deck.
So
because of Raiding Party. Raiding Party is, I think, if they were to look at a card to adjust here, because I think Waggle pick on its own, not really that big of a deal. But Waggle pick, when you could definitely draw it with pirates that always go with it and do stuff with it, oh my god, that's really good, right?
Yeah.
Because
Because you've got deckhands that charge with a weapon. You've got the Corsairs that get cheaper with a weapon, and you've got Greenskin that buffs the weapon.
buffs the weapon.
Yeah.
So everything is a weapon.
Everything you pull is good.
Yeah.
In combination.
Yeah. And then you prep raiding party, and then you do it for 0 mana. Draw 3 cards that all go well together. It's insane, dude. It is really, really good. And so I don't know. I do expect something to happen here, but for right now, if you are just looking to climb as fast as possible, it's probably just go with this. The only deck that really counters it right now, in my opinion, is the Warrior deck, and then you kind of beat everything else, right? So
literally everything else. Like if you go over to look at the matchups, everything is green, except Control Warrior. Every single matchup you're favored. Some of them like are close to 50-50, but you're still favored, and most of them are 60, 70, 80.
Yep.
Like
It's strong, to say the least. I wish I could remember who tweeted. Someone tweeted out, it was like, not a meme, but basically a meme, which is like all these people asking for Warrior to get nerfed, and Rogue is just sitting here like, yes. I wish I could remember who made that tweet. But
well, I know Kibler's been very Kibler, Firebat, a bunch of people have been very vocal about they think that Rogue is the biggest issue right now because
it's forcing the Warrior meta. Yeah.
It's forcing people to play Control Warrior, and Control Warrior is then making some games unfun for other people because it's like, I can't play my Control Shaman. I can't play my whatever because Control Warrior just beats me. I think that one of the problems we have right now, and I saw Ixar's response was, well, maybe some of this is just part of a healthy meta because things counter other things and blah, blah, blah. But I think the problem is, if I'm going to play a tempo deck, why would I play any other tempo deck than this Rogue deck, right? Like, why would I play, a tempo Warrior Rush deck? Why would I play a tempo Druid deck? Or why, you could say the Heal Druid could potentially be considered like a tempo deck because you do the double 4/4s on 5. Like, why would I do anything other than this deck? And then if I'm going to play Control, why would I do anything other than Warrior? And then if I'm going to be combo, why would I do anything other than, what I mean? That's the problem, is like when you get into the archetypes are literally limited to one class or one version of that archetype. That's where I think you fall into a problem where then the meta feels unhealthy because I don't get choices. I feel locked into these things, right? I feel like I must play this deck, not I choose to play this deck. And
I think that that's probably going to be a problem at the start of every rotation, right? Because we just are inherently playing with a smaller pool of cards. So it's a problem that will kind of solve itself the closer to the end of the year we get.
I mean, that is, once more cards are there, obviously, but I do think that you need to be a little careful because, okay, so right now in Magic, the Gathering, I can play weenie white token deck aggro. I could play red deck wins aggro. I can play mono blue aggro. And all of these things are decent. So when I say I want to be an aggro player, I'm an aggro player. I have then choices within that spectrum, right? And I think right now in Hearthstone, if I say I'm an aggro player, I'm playing this. I just, it's like we need to have choices within archetype. And I think
I'm not arguing that at all. Yeah. But
that's what makes it feel unfun, right? To a lot of people is when they then feel like they log in and it's like, this is the deck I just like, but it's not nearly as good as this other thing. It's like, it makes it feel bad, right? It's just
right.
a bad situation. So.
Oh, that's kind of what we were talking about earlier, is like getting in the tunnel vision of any type of discussion about how to improve the game or what you think Team 5 should be working on. It applies here too when we're talking about like the greater meta. Right now, like if I could take a meta break and talk about the meta and less so the Rogue deck directly right now, is that we were talking about Elysiana a lot earlier in the show, and concerns around that card and desires for it to get changed to make the next format of esports, which isn't even really in the spotlight right now because of HCT, more interesting. But so what's the issue? Is Elysiana the issue, or is the power of Warrior the issue? And if the answer comes up, the power of Warrior, well, what do we do? Because if we nerf Warrior, suddenly this Rogue deck just starts running away entirely, like it already pretty much is. And so there's just three things very quickly that all kind of interlink with one another. And you've got folks like, you've got Hazard in the chat room who's like, oh, but the bigger issue with, like, yes, having few cards at the start of a rotation is an issue, but then we also get into the discussion of the problem of classic and basic cards and their power, and how the meta, as much as it changes, it doesn't change enough with each rotation because those cards never change. And he's not wrong.
No, I mean, look at this deck and tell me that one of the biggest things that's making this deck go is Leroy Jenkins, right? That card will never go away. One of the biggest things making this deck go is Edwin Van Cleef. That card is not going to go away. Preparation,
and backstab,
and shadow step. Like, how much of this deck is classic cards? And then, and Dread Corsair and Captain Greenskin. Then you just throw in, like, we just make Waggle pick, and we're like, oh my god, look at how all this came together.
Yeah. But like some of this, like Captain Greenskin, I look at as someone who hasn't seen a lot of him in Standard and go, cool, it's really cool that this card is seeing a lot of play. I know he's all over the place with freaking Pirate Rogues in Wild, but if you've only been playing Standard, you probably haven't seen a ton of him. So that's kind of neat that Captain Greenskin is back. But yeah, you look at something like Leroy and you're like, yeah, how many times have I died to Leroy? Yeah. It's been overplayed.
Fine. I don't know. It's just I think the other cards are probably the issue, and I think that we should be rotating some classic stuff. But
I agree.
Real quick though, we should probably talk about the actual strategy of playing this deck.
Yes, hit them in the face with your Waggle pick. That's probably a lot of damage.
So so when you're going second, there's actually a lot of differences in your mulligan, right? So when I'm going first, I'm looking for like Hench Clan Thug. I'm looking for, like, you're always looking for Miscreant. I mean, that's just, that card is insane. And you're always looking for Raiding Party. But when you're going first, I'm also looking for like Hench Clan Thug. I'm looking for Backstab, South Sea, that kind of stuff where I can then kind of start the train, right? And get the train moving. And then when you're going second, you're kind of like looking for these combo pieces. So Edwin Van Cleef, still Evil Miscreant, because coin Miscreant on 2 is just insane. And then, like, I also like to keep things like SI and stuff like that. But you're kind of like looking for a big spiky turn going second. And first, you're kind of looking for do stuff each turn, run you over, right? One thing to be a little bit cautious about, by the way, because this deck is so meta defining, is don't make a big Van Cleef while you have a Waggle pick out and it's your only minion. Just don't do that. Everybody is running double ooze right now, and you put a bunch of cards.
Careful with your Waggle.
Be careful with your Waggle pick, guys. Yep. Keep it in your pants. But yeah, it's if you put a bunch into a Van Cleef and then they destroy your Waggle pick and you lose the Van Cleef. It
is most likely safe in the mirror matchup. Like, that's
actually the mirror used to be running the rogue deck itself used to be running oozes. Then people realized, no, I don't need to counter your stuff. I just need to kill you. So I just put in all the stuff that does the stuff I want.
So this was a deck I've been meaning to play and just hadn't gotten around to. And when you posted in our Slack that we use to play in the show deals that you wanted to cover this, I'm like, oh, thank you for reminding me. I've been wanting to play this. And I go in for my first game. It's against another rogue, and I had the coin, and God, I wish I could remember all the cards I had, but I opened with a 12-12 Van Cleef. Like, it was just stupid. Sure. Yeah. And I had my Waggle pick out because I was like, you're a rogue, you don't have ooze.
And there's a couple things you'll notice about this version of the deck too. It is not running like Blink Fox and the new pirate, the new 4/3 pirate, and it's not running the Vendetta.
Yeah, Vendetta. Yeah, that's the one where I was like, oh yeah. Well, I guess with how aggressive this is, you don't need Vendetta. That still doesn't mean that. I was talking to someone over the weekend, I think, while I was playing WoW, and they're like, hey, what do you think? What are you enjoying Hearthstone right now? I'm like, well, I've been enjoying Tempo Rogue. I wasn't playing aggro yet, and we got onto this conversation about just how insane of a card Vendetta ended up being. Like, it's still a really good card, but it's just unnecessary in this archetype.
Yeah, the thing is that you can play that version of the Rogue too, and it's still really good. It's just this one, I think, is the more streamlined, meta-defining one that you're seeing at like Top Legend, right? There is still plenty of people playing Blink Foxes, Vendettas, the new Thug. Like there's tons of people playing that version of the deck and doing great. Because one thing that deck does is it plays every game feels different because you get random cards and you don't, and like you never run out of gas with that deck. That's one thing that's frustrating about that deck is it's still putting a lot of tempo out, but while it's not running out of cards, I mean, you're like, come on, man, you're supposed to be running out of cards right now, which they don't. This deck does kind of do that, except for the miscreant reload. But this deck doesn't really need to draw cards. It just needs to
Kill
just
your
draw
face.
good cards and go face. Yeah, yeah. So you can, if you're looking at this deck and you're going, Dills, this doesn't look like a fun deck. Sure, go play the fun one. It's actually fine too. It's just not as good as this one, I think. So I'm just presenting you guys the one that I think is the thing that's changing the meta the most. And has to be played around and is just getting played at the top levels. So also go check out the World Championship decks, because there's people in there playing the Togwaggle, the Heist Baron Togwaggle deck too. And that version is fine as well. I have an all gold tempo Tog deck that I play when I'm just like, I want to play good and I want to win games, but I also want to have a good time. Like, then I do that. By the way, that one's
Togwaggle.
yeah, that one's all golden as well, because I crafted Heist Baron Togwaggle.
Did you see Bloody Faces? He's running Crystallizer in his.
Crystallizer?
Yeah, in his
That's
his
the
tempo
1/3?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just a good tempo card though.
Yeah.
Right. No, but is it Ike? I think Ike is running Heist Baron Togwaggle in his. There's a few people who are doing it. LF Yuying.
Ike definitely is.
Yeah, Ike is. Killing All Day is. Yeah, there's a bunch of people who are doing it. And then you got like Just Saying is playing like this version, which is just like the Kill You version, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Yu Ying is too, yeah.
Well, it's not hard to control a lackey, right? Because you get freaking 2 of them off of one evil miscreant.
Sure. And then I think if you're running the Heist Baron Togwaggle, though, you also run one evil Cable Rat, which is the 2-mana 1/1 that gives you one. So you have like multiple ways to get them. And then
Ike isn't. It looks like. Oh no, yeah, he is. Sorry,
Yeah, he is.
I wasn't looking at. I was looking at class cards. Never
he's
mind.
also got like the Hinge Clan Burglar and Vendetta and all that, because that deck is a little more like sustain. And then the Togwaggle, if you have the opponent low, what you do is you take the wand and then draw into burn. If you're in kind of a mid-rangey tempo battle and you're trying to battle for the board, you take is it the Crown, the one that makes 2 legendaries, right? So there's like, that's the cool thing about Togwaggle, is he gives you like this kind of option to win. Like, oh, I'm so close to killing him. Draw me a bunch of cards that now cost 0, and then I just murder you.
Yeah, I definitely found myself in situations.
Game, you know.
Yeah, I found myself in situations wishing I had more draw. You know, like really needing Myra's unstable element and not having it. So certainly having the wand in that situation would have helped it a ton. Which, speaking of which, while we're on that subject, we did have a question from the Patreon. Pi wanted to know which finisher do you like most for this deck? Myra's Unstable Element, Heist Baron Togwaggle, Captain Hooktusk, or just nix the finisher and top out with Leroy? Do you think the meta could shift to make one finisher better than another?
The best finisher is Waggle pick Leroy. That's it.
Yeah.
you hit him once with a Waggle pick, then the next one you Leroy, hit him, Waggle pick, Leroy bounces back, you Leroy again. You deal 16 damage.
But Heist Baron is fun.
Heist Baron is fun. Yeah, sure.
For sure.
But,
and he may
So it
help
kind of
you...
depends how much you want to mix it up for yourself, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he could help you draw your wand or draw your Leroy if you can't find it too. So
sure.
Kind of
there's I don't know, there's just like there's the fun finisher, which is the Heist Baron. But if you are just like, I need to win games, I want to win them quick, this version that tops out at Leroy is the best.
Yeah, and Hooktusk, she gives your pirates rush. If she gave them charge, then maybe, but rushing isn't finishing that, because doesn't go face.
That deck is different, because that deck is more like you play the overkill 5/3s that draw 2 cards and stuff like that, because they're pirates. That's a little bit of a different deck. It's more of a like value oriented late game deck than this. This is just like, I'm just putting pressure on your face at all times, and eventually it's like, you can always tell with this deck, like once those Waggle picks start going face, you're like, oh no. Oh, it's coming. But yeah, that's
double ooze, everyone. Double ooze, no matter what you're playing.
By
double
the way, everyone was running the Harrisons. I think the Harrison really only makes sense in the Control Warrior that's running the weapons project. I think you should just be running the double oozes, because you need to kill these weapons quicker. Harrison is too slow to
Can't wait till 5, yeah.
And when you see a rogue and you have an ooze in your hand, keep it. If you have 2 oozes in your hand, keep both of them.
There are 2 Waggle picks.
They will get used.
Probably will still die, by the way.
Yeah. Double keep ooze, still die.
Good God.
Rip.
Yeah, it's a strong deck for sure. Thanks for your question, Pi. We tend to post the deck that we're going to cover to the Patreon before the episode, and if you got questions, feel free to always drop them in there if you're supporting us. Before we take some emails on to wrap the show up, we have another sponsor to thank today, and it's MeUndies. They're back sponsoring this episode of The Angry Chicken. Did you know you probably spend about 90% of your life in underwear? Did you know that, folks? You know, I don't want to speak for everyone.
That seems like us. Yeah, that seems like I believe that fact.
Yeah, but so I mean, you owe it to yourself, right? You want to make sure that you're wearing the softest undies in town. Mm-hmm. And MeUndies has got you covered because they use the coveted micromodal fabric, which is a full 3 times softer than cotton. I think it should be the plot of the next Indiana Jones movie. They're trying to get the micromodal fabric. That's the MacGuffin. That's it.
Okay.
I used the word coveted. It just made me think of it. It was dumb.
I see.
I'm the only person who found this interesting. Also, you mentioned Harrison, so it's in my brain. That's where I am now. They are also the go-to for the softest loungewear on the planet. I can confirm. I have a pair of MeUndies. I call them pajama pants because this is what I've always called them. They are super soft. And if I had enough of them, they would be the only things I would wear. I would be that person in line at the grocery store in my pajama pants because that's just how damn comfy my MeUndies pajama pants are.
And they have super awesome patterns. I have pink ones with llamas that are working out. Like it doesn't get any better than that.
That sounds lovely.
I just got the llamas too. I love the llamas. Yeah, they're
They got little sweatbands on.
They're so happy. They're so happy. They're also, you know, they're inspirational llamas. They're reminding you, hey, you're super comfortable. Go work out.
I figure, they're working out, so I don't have to.
Oh, okay. I mean, that's another way you could take a read on the super soft underwear covered in working out llamas.
That's just logic.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wonderful. I didn't think of this as a side effect of MeUndies sponsoring the show, but we are all now collecting the same types of underwear.
We can match.
Yes, only no one should ever be aware of it unless we tell them on this podcast, which will move
probably
on into the
tell them
future
on
for the
this
rest of the time.
podcast.
Yeah, exactly. So go check them out. MeUndies.com/TAC. You can get 15% off your first pair, free shipping, and a 100% satisfaction guarantee if you're a first-time purchaser. Just by going to MeUndies.com/TAC. Again, 15% off your first pair. Go check it out. You also get free shipping. You get that 100% satisfaction guarantee over at MeUndies.com/TAC. That's all you have to do to get the most comfortable undies you're ever going to put on your butt. Go check them out. We thank them for their support. And now, let's take an email or two.
Hello?
Hello, it's me.
Hello?
Just quickly, do you get my message?
Yep.
Oh,
Hello, brother.
You can send your emails to tacpodcast@gmail.com, or if you're supporting us over at patreon.com/TAC, make sure you link your Discord to your Patreon account, because then poof, like magic, you're already in the Angry Chicken Patron Discord, and you can drop questions in there too and skip the inbox, because sometimes things get buried. Shujinko did exactly that and posted to our Discord and said, I know classes in Hearthstone have different mechanics, but what if they also had additional special resources, e.g. warlocks having soul shards from friendly dead minions, rogues having combo points for each card played, warriors becoming enraged below half health, so on and so forth. I know this might complicate things beyond the intent of making it easy to get into a card game, but it's always fun to think about. What do you think? You are digging up things that I haven't thought of since the very early days of the game, like being in Hearthstone beta, because, yeah, I definitely had these thoughts. Do you guys remember when we thought we were getting like a different form of mana in Mean Streets of Gadgetzan? Because
I think, Dills, you were really on that with the whole red mana thing.
Yeah, it would have been sweet.
Yep.
I think another resource system would be cool. It's funny, though, he brings up all these things that are actually kind of in the game. Warlocks like having their own stuff die and it doing things is actually in the game.
Mm-hmm.
We got the Hyreek's bat and all that kind of stuff. Warriors enraging below half health, that's in the game. Revenge and Mortal Strike. Combo points for rogues, that's in the game. Edwin Van Cleef. We just don't have it in like a pure form,
like
where
a
it
baseline.
affects like lots of
like a
cards.
currency.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But I mean, those concepts are there. So I Blizzard definitely has paid attention to that kind of stuff.
You could have an
I would like to see them use
expansion.
it more, though, right?
Yeah, you could have an expansion that kind of like double down on this idea. You know, then if it works, you can keep it, and if it doesn't, it'll go away eventually.
Adding things into a card game that you always have that are not affected by the inherent RNG of shuffling and the way decks work. Like it's very scary. It's a scary place to play around in. This game has hero powers, which is very unique to Hearthstone. But they there's no way they haven't also been limiting in the design space of this game.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, imagine like what they could do if Warlock didn't have tap, right?
Well, it's like that's why Gen and Baku had to rotate early, right? They manipulated hero powers in a way that started right from the very beginning of the game, and it was way too strong.
Yeah, it was too much of
So-
these guaranteed effects. So if like combo for Rogue was like this baseline thing that Rogue had all the time that interacted with their cards, but was a baked in mechanic in addition to the hero power, it would probably just go too far and make games feel too similar between them.
Possibly.
I think the best way to do it is just per card, right? Like kind of what they do now. But I mean, I would like to see another card that has like a Van Cleef style effect, right? Like the more cards you played this turn, like we actually did have another one that was the per card you played this turn, it would dealt damage, right? I don't know if you guys remember that card. It was like 6 mana, 5/5 or something that did that. And people were trying to make decks where they would not shadow step it, but the shadow caster guy that would make a 1/1 version of it. And then, I could see definitely more cards like the Spectral Pillager. Thank you, Hachikumo. And then you could definitely do stuff where you have like, say, a dormant card like Lucent Bark for Warlocks, where like each time something dies, then it eventually comes back to life. Like I think you need to do it like on a card by card basis, though, right? Not like you were saying as a full mechanic in an entire expansion or something where every card from Warlock does this or every card from Warrior does this.
No, but it'd be kind of cool if like, because I'm thinking I've been playing Ret Pally in WoW, and it would be cool if like my cards over the course of the game like generated holy power up to a cap of 5, and then I had other cards that like based on what holy power I have will do an effect. Like, so power's still capped, but a little more flavor.
Sure. Okay.
I can dig. Yeah, I just like I feel like if Shujinko had sent this question in significantly further after Genbaku rotating out, I'd probably be like, yeah, let's try it, man. But since we're so close to what became a pretty homogenized meta, I'm pretty like stay away. That's where I find myself at the moment. No. Yeah. Dills, who's our next email from?
Let's see. Next email comes to us from Steve C, who says, "Good afternoon, chickens. I am a free-to-play player, and I was wondering which legendary or two you think would give me the most bang for my dust to craft." I think he meant bang, but he said bank.
Yeah.
I opened 2 to 3 so far from packs, including both mage legendaries, and was wondering if you could give me a brief list of your thoughts as to why. Well, Elysiana is the neutral one that, but it only makes sense in super control decks. And if you didn't if you're a free to play player and you didn't open that many, then you might not be able to craft all the dopest control decks. So yeah, I don't know. It's tricky. Let me look at the list of cards from the new.
Yeah, because we're not seeing legendaries really show up across multiple decks right now, outside of like you said, Elysiana, but Elysiana is still very specific.
I'm assuming, that he's referring to Rise of Shadows stuff.
Yeah,
too.
probably. Although,
Yes.
I mean, if there's some classic ones that he's missing, then that could possibly be a craft. But I mean, I think there's something to be said just for, I guess, Blastmaster Boom. No, wait, Dr. Boom.
No, Blastmaster Boom. You're right. Yeah.
No, Mad Genius from Boomsday. and Elysiana, because they're cards that the devs are saying that they're actively looking at potentially to change. So they're super powerful right now. So probably a good craft. And then if they're going to be changed in the near future, you'll get your dust back. So play with them now while they're powerful. Then you'll have them after they're changed and you can craft something else.
Another one I think that creates a pretty free-to-play, player-friendly deck is Arc Villain Rafam. You just build a zoo deck, and it's the only legendary in your deck, and then suddenly you have all legendaries in your deck.
Doesn't that deck also run Solarium?
Yeah. But you don't need Solarium in that deck.
Yeah, true.
It's just chock full of 1-drops, and then one Arc Villain Rafam. It mostly for the new cards, it's like Magic Carpet and a bunch of 1-drops that makes the deck go. So.
Yeah. For me, I think the easiest answer, like if you just want a solid deck that you know will be competitive on ladder, Token Druid is just running away with it, and you probably already have Vargoth, so the only other legendary you should make is Steladris.
Yeah, Steladris
that is
really
an
good.
affordable deck to put together. I mean, really the expense comes from the 4 epics, not from the 2 legendaries, one of which was given to all of us for free.
Yeah. Most of the good legendaries we got in this set are class specific, so it's not like there's some neutral legendary that you just want for every class.
Mm-hmm.
Except Nomi.
Well, Nomi's
Nomi.
there's a Nomi priest out there. It's not really that good though, but it's funny.
And that kind of just points the finger at what do you really want to do? Do you want to win a whole lot, or do you want to have a whole lot of fun?
Yeah, I mean, I think the correct answer for this, especially since we're not in a meta with cards like Ganor Baku, where you can just make them and suddenly it just opens up this whole world to you, which frankly was a good thing about Gan and Baku, is it really opened up a large amount of budget decks if you've made those 2 cards. But since we don't find ourselves in a meta like that, is you should go through what is working. If your goal is to win, obviously. If your goal is to be nuts, then I don't know, craft the craziest card you can think of and go have fun with it. Maybe you would like Nomi Priest, because that deck is absurd. But if your goal is to win, just do your research. And tools like HS Replay make it really easy, because you can like load in your collection and then you can go through and see what you're missing. And the answer may not be a Rise of Shadows card. For me recently, the answer was Captain Greenskin, because I just never opened that bastard and apparently never played decks where I felt he was that necessary.
Yeah.
But
it wasn't very necessary for a really long time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. But I've been playing. I've been a total jerkwad in Wild and been playing Pirate Rogue, and then this aggro tempo Rogue variant popped up. I'm like, all right, that's it. I'm over the edge. It's finally time to get myself a Captain Greenskin. Because I already had a Leroy, I already had an Edwin, and that's the only other legendary in the deck. So, so
HS Replay's your friend.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and if you don't, for some reason, don't feel like using it and uploading your cards, it's, you know what you have. It's pretty easy to go through and look at what archetypes are doing well, what interests you, and see what you are actually in the ballpark of completing.
if you're talking pure legendary, by the way, though, from any expansion forever, if you don't have Ziliax, you need to grab Ziliax.
Very good point.
Yeah,
That is literally in 50% of all just decks.
Just all decks. Yeah.
I believe I skipped over because the show went a little longer than I expected, but Ziliax did come up in the Q&A, and they said that they're actually really happy where Ziliax is because it's strong, but it doesn't feel horrible when it gets played against you, and I think they're totally right on the money.
Yeah, no, Ziliax is, I think, a great card. I'm happy that it's here.
Yeah.
It gives a neutral heal option to a lot of decks that don't have it, and then it's really cool sometimes when you magnetize it to some crazy big mech thing. It's just fun.
Yep. Yeah, it's very cool. So best of luck to you, Steve C. And actually, let us know what you went with. For short replies like that, I always recommend Twitter because it's just fun. To be like, oh, hey, rad, man, cool. We can reply to you right then and there. But that's going to wrap it up for the show. Keep sending your emails to tacpodcast@gmail.com. If you're supporting us over at patreon.com/TAC, drop us a question in the Discord. Speaking of patrons, if you like the show and you want to support us, patreon.com/TAC is the best way to do so. Whether it's $1, whether it's 10, whatever works for you, we really appreciate it. And to some of our newer patrons, Chris K. Schmorior is how I'm going to choose to pronounce that, and Joel C., thank you for the support, everyone. We thank you in the
we're
order that you signed up.
actually only 90 away from our next goal. So if you
We
want to
are.
see monthly gameplay streams and you aren't a patron and that's
Yeah.
something you would like, that's how that happens.
Yep.
So
Yep. And some of that is because we've picked up new producers, which are like big backers of the Angry Chicken. And we can't thank you enough, Declan H, Sean C, Nick C, and Cheesy Bob.
yeah.
Thank you very much for the support. Other than that, whole back catalog of episodes is over at amove.tv/TAC or over on the YouTube if you want to see our beautiful faces as we mute and make dumb faces as we cough, but you can't hear it in the podcast. It's, I'm letting you know. That's the real draw of watching
that's what
us
people are looking for.
in video. Yeah.
Crazy cough faces.
Yeah, that's over at youtube.com/amovetv. The
So I
Twitter.
just want to see that I'm not wearing a shirt that is acceptable to them is what they want to see.
I saw, dude.
Even though my AC is out.
I tuned in last week. Yeah, I was laughing my ass off. I tuned in last week while you were streaming and I was sick. And someone was just like, someone needs to get Dill's shirt with sleeves on it. And I'm like, dude's AC is broken.
Yeah, I live in Texas. I don't wear sleeved shirts.
Yeah. Also, yeah, they must have never tuned in before because honestly, you having sleeves is a more of a rarity than you not having sleeves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you live in Texas, you understand. Sleeves are sleeves.
Yep. Anyways, Dills, we got to get you out of here. Where can everybody find you?
Twitter at Willie Dills and twitch.tv/Willie Dills where I streams the Hearthstone. I'll be working today, so no stream tonight, but I should be back the rest of this week.
Jocelyn, what about you?
You can find me on Twitter and Twitch. I'm at Joss Plays. That's JOCE Plays.
I'm Garrett Art on Twitter. All the podcasts are at amove.tv, and I would recommend if you're already signed up to R2T2 stream or feed, rad, or the old Embrace the Spoilers feed, rad. If you're not, go subscribe to one of them because we're resurrecting Embrace the Spoilers for the next 5 weeks to spoil Game of Thrones as it ends. So that's Joss and I, by the way. If you are unfamiliar with Embrace the Spoilers, that's what that show used to be. This is it. This is the last hurrah for Embrace the Spoilers. So come listen to us be wrong about who's going to die next week.
Everyone.
Fair. Probably also wrong because there's more than next week isn't the final episode.
Yeah.
Anyways, go check that out. Embrace the Spoilers, found wherever podcasts can be found. That's going to wrap it up for this podcast. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We'll see you next week for the next episode of The Angry Chicken. But until then, job's done.
Job's done.
Job's done.
Did Dills freeze?
Yes!
That's the best. This is the best thing that's ever happened on The Angry Chicken. Podcast listeners, we're not messing with you. Dills is straight up frozen on the video version right now. This is amazing. Wonderful.
Maybe he was just like, I said I had a hard out time, guys. Gone.
Yep. And out. Well, folks, thanks for hanging out. We shall talk to you later.